I was also going to recognize my husband and my campaign manager are both here. All three of us are 30 for myself and under, and we are running a really hungry, scrappy race to win the first 5-way race in the state of Alaska to represent House District 35 West Fairbanks, which also happens to include the UAF campus. And that's something that I am extremely proud of. I'm extremely proud to be able to be in a position where I feel like not only can I run for public office, but I could also win. And I've had a pretty non-traditional path to get to that point. And so I just want to talk a little bit today about how I got to that point, and also a little bit about some of the opportunities I did have at UAF that prepared me for that, and then just what I hope to see from all of you in the future. So, like Dr. Hirsch mentioned, my name is Ashley Carrick, and I am really, really honored to be in front of this particular group of folks. I graduated in 2014 from both UAF and from the UAF Honors Program. And when I say that the UAF Honors Program made my experience what it was, it's no understatement whatsoever. But a fun story about how that even happened. So I wasn't accepted into the Honors Program when I first came in as a freshman. Most of my friends that I made almost instantly through new student orientation were in the Honors Program. And I really thought, I'd like to be in this program. I want to go hang out at that house with those friends all the time and be in the program. And the director at the time said to me, okay, you don't have the math scores to enter the program on an academic basis, but you go ahead and sign up for a class this fall. And if you do well in that class, then we'll consider it like a probation period, and then you can join the program. So I signed up for Introduction to Sociology. Well, I'm a psychology major, and psychology majors and sociology majors sometimes butt heads. And I was very young, very sure of myself and my major. And I had this professor, and he was easily in his late 70s, probably in his 80s. He comes in the first day of class to the honors house. He walks up the stairs into the living room, and he just sort of hobbles on over and sits down. And from the moment he sat down, and I was sitting in the couch in the room, all the way through the whole semester, the two of us just developed this fun banter where he would tell me all of these great principles of social science and sociology, and I would sort of push back on him at every step of the way. But we both loved it. He and I had fabulous conversations. Our class only had about 10 people in it, so there was lots of opportunity for those conversations. And I had a great experience. But here I was on probation in the honors program, and we're in the house one day, and I tell all the students that are also in class with me, hey, last week our professor was talking about anarchy, which is the concept that an individual or a group in a large community or society can create chaos. And I said to all the other students in the class, at this time, at 2:30, we're all going to get up and we're all going to start running around and throwing stuff around and just being chaotic. We're not going to tell them, we're just going to do it. Mid-lecture. Such was my relationship with this professor that I felt like this was a great thing for me to do. And the honors house at that time, just quick side note, was a different place than it is today. It had academic rigor, our program did, but the house itself was like everybody's dumping ground for the stuff they couldn't fit in their dorm room. So there were potted plants in the corners, there were potted plants in the middle of the room, there were stuffed animals, there was a giant big bird stuffed animal that migrated through the house. There were things growing in the basement. We won't talk about what was growing in the basement, but things were growing in the basement. It was a different place. And so at the appointed time during class, our instructor's sitting there, and he's talking like this, and he's very slow, very deliberate. And the appointed time happens, and I thought my fellow students were going to get up and maybe do like, ah, and then sit back down. No. People took this to the next level. Somebody picked up the big bird stuffed animal and started running loops through the kitchen and the downstairs and the upstairs. Somebody took a potted plant and accidentally dumped it into the carpet. People were screaming, people were crying, people were yelling. As all of this is taking place, the director of the program walks into the front door and looks into the living room. And we kind of stop. And everybody sort of sits down. And the professor's just completely stoic. He doesn't even crack a smile. He doesn't look angry, but he got no reaction whatsoever. And the director looks up at all of us and he says, "Which one of you did this?" And everybody in the class immediately points at me. I'm like, "We were demonstrating anatomy." To which the instructor says, "Well, but you organized it, so it's not good." So that was the first of many, many, many times that I've gotten taken down a peg as a student or as a professional. But anyway, I did, despite that strange introduction to the program, manage to get into the program. My route to coming to UAF was also a little bit non-traditional. I had a lot of friends in high school who were very, very successful. They came from affluent families, they had great sort of structure in their lives, and that was wonderful. And I was by no means the least privileged among the people that I knew. However, my circumstances were a little different. My parents divorced when I was 5. I lived in a joint custody situation between my mom's house and my dad's house. When I was 16, I moved out from living with my dad due to substance abuse and alcohol issues and conflict between the two of us, with me wanting to focus on school and him not really having the wherewithal to help me do those things. It was a little bit tough. And when I was 18 and we started applying for colleges, almost all of my friends ended up going to Ivy League schools, and a shocking percentage of them ended up at Stanford in California. And I remember thinking, when I chose to come to UAF, at first, mostly for financial reasons, boy, I am just not as good as all of them. And I had this feeling of excitement to come to Fairbanks. Back then, the slogan for UAF was "Damn right it's cold." And I just loved that. I loved the intensity of this place. My great-grandparents were the first in my family to live in Fairbanks. My grandparents grew up here, and my grandma and grandfather raised their kids in Healy. So the interior had always been a part of my life. And when I first got here, I was both excited, and I felt this sense of kind of shame almost, like, I'm not as good as the people that went to Stanford. I'm not as good as all those other students that I knew. And just immediately, this community of people, and particularly this community of honors students, just enveloped me in this place where I was supported. For the first time in my life, academically, professionally, socially, and personally, I had a community, I had a place. And that was just so immense in my decision to do pretty much everything after that. They say, well, this one thing happened and the rest is history. Very, very true of how I feel looking back retroactively at the experiences I got to have. So I graduated in 2014. I majored in psychology. And most psych majors don't end up working in the Alaska State Capitol. So what happened was I graduated, and just like everybody had told me, through my college experience, there's a lot of engineers at this school. You're not going to have a job after college. You majored in a social science. What are you going to do after you graduate? And I said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to figure it out. And I graduated with all these honors, so I really felt like I was just ready to go and I could do anything. And then I couldn't find a job for almost a year, and it was very, very stressful. I ended up substitute teaching in the Fairbanks School District, and that experience was incredibly eye-opening. I learned a lot about class sizes in Fairbanks and the education system and the pressures that students and teachers were facing, and I learned it firsthand. And that prompted me, without really consulting anybody or knowing at all what I was doing, to run for school board in 2016. So I ran for school board, and I lost. I didn't know this story. But a really amazing state representative at the time, now state senator, Scott Kawasaki, reached out to me, and he said, I am really impressed about your commitment to our community. Would you like to come work in Juneau for one session? And again, as they say, the rest is history. I went down to Juneau in 2017 for my first legislative session, and all of a sudden this whole world opened up related to public policy. Something that impacts absolutely every area of our lives, every degree program we have, every area of study we do. Policy influences, supports, or detracts from all of it. And I saw immediately how intricately connected policy is with everything that we get to do. And I still had this really strong interest in psychology and public health, so I went back to school, distance learning, got a master's in public health in 2020 from UAA, and that just further got me interested in public policy. So I kept doing that, and I ended up getting a long-term job in Juneau, working for the outgoing representative for the seat that I'm now running for, and I've been working as his chief of staff for the last 5 sessions, 5 years. Through COVID, through budget cuts, through enormous, massive changes taking place in the state. And it's been, COVID changed all of our lives. That has been a massive effect on everything that we have done in Juneau these last few years. And now that I've been down there long enough, it just so happened that this year the opportunity came up that it was possible to run, and I was like, why not? Why not? So that was kind of the progression to where I'm at right now. The really important thing that if I could just give one takeaway to everybody in this room is to just look around you right now. I am so amazed at how many students are here, and I'm so amazed at how many students are at UAF. This is your community. I know everybody just got here a week and a half ago, and you might be looking around the room and you're like, I recognize that person from orientation, but I don't remember their name, even though they told me like 3 times already. Ask them again. You might be thinking as you see people in classes, well, they don't want to work with me on a group project. Well, we're not really interested in the same things. Guarantee you're interested in some of the same things. Talk to these folks around you. Your community is both here in this room, and it's here on this campus. And it's also here in Fairbanks. And so between 2010 and 2022, my last decade plus of living in Fairbanks, that circle of community has just gotten wider and wider. It started with a group just like the people in this room, and then it expanded to this campus, and then it expanded to Fairbanks, and now I'm working on expanding that community to being Alaska. So what can we do going forward as a community? Well, if one drop in an ocean creates a ripple effect, imagine what all of us together, working as a community, can do. A rising tide lifts all boats. We can be the rising tide. Every single one of you in this room is capable of making change. Most people look at me, who are much older than me, and they think, there is just no way that a 30-year-old kid is going to be a great legislator. And frankly, nobody who walks into the job thinking, I'm just going to be awesome at this, is adequately prepared. But you damn sure better try. And I hope that all of you here take the opportunities you have, reach outside of your major, reach outside of your immediate friend group, reach outside of the things you thought you wanted to do, and explore things that maybe you never had on your radar. Because that's how I got where I'm at right now. And ultimately, what I would love to see everyone in this room do, besides voting in October and November, if you're not registered to vote and you'd like to be registered in Fairbanks, we can help you. But aside from voting and being civically involved in the next weeks, months, years, your whole life hopefully, help each other, support each other. If you see somebody struggling, help them. There is nothing more important in this state, in this community, than the power that we have to take care of one another. Alaska is a state that has a history of people helping each other. We live in this extreme environment. Fairbanks might have changed its slogan here at UAF, but the slogan could still definitely apply, damn right it's cold. Damn right this environment is extreme and it's tough at times. So when you see somebody who needs extra help studying or somebody who just needs a break, somebody who can use a shoulder, be that person. And help yourself throughout the way too. Talk to people, make those connections. You'll be amazed where it takes you. And just one last story. So all my friends in high school that I mentioned went to Stanford. They went to Ivy League institutions. After I was here at UAF for 2 years, I made a trip down to Palo Alto, California to visit a really good friend of mine at Stanford. And here I was accustomed to UAF honors classes where I was often one of maybe 10 to 20 students. I rarely had classes that were in full auditoriums like this. And even when I did, there was a lot of accessibility. So I go down to Stanford and I think, oh gosh, I don't know if I can go to these classes. I was there for a week, and so I decided to attend a few seminars. I attended a 300-level seminar on aging in the psychology department at Stanford. A class like that at UAF, a specialty elective-only class, at least back in 2010, would have likely had maybe 10 students in it, 15 maybe. At Stanford, it was a room 5 times this size. There were 400 students. I showed up 10 minutes early and I was standing room only. And I had the thought almost immediately when the instructor started speaking, if I was actually taking this class, would I even have one chance the whole semester to talk to my professor? And I just realized there was just no way that would happen. If I was going to Stanford, would I have had opportunities to travel to rural Alaska and conduct boots-on-the-ground research with participants? Would I have had the chance to become a student senator and help make change on campus? Would I have had the chance to be on the Honor Student Advisory Council, organizing trips for entire groups of students and helping make changes that would help there? And the answer every time as I went down the list was no. So if any of you are questioning whether you're in the right place or you're in a good place, or whether this university is a great place to be, question no further. You are in a great place. I hope that you all can be all in on your education, and because it's my slogan, I'm going to say I hope you can all be all in for Alaska. Thank you so much.